would you evaluate the O-line's play through 2 games?
Overall, I think in pass protection, we've been pretty solid. In the run game, we weren't where we wanted to be. Game 1, game 2, I think we cleaned that up. I mean, even first half in New Mexico, we weren't quite there. Second half improved, I think, because we started wearing on them a little bit. And as the game went along, I think just our communication and like pre-snap ID is what really improved, and continuing to build on seeing things through kind of the same set of eyes and understanding what was coming. So yeah, I mean, we still have definitely room to grow, but week 1 to week 2, I think we made an improvement overall.
Where do you think the best improvement can come from this week? Where do you guys think need to work on maybe the most?
I think that's going to come from starting fast. P and 10s, just kind of those first plays of the drive. We need to start gaining yards out of those and not have the lulls or the 3 and outs. I think that'll help. That'll come from Hank, the O-line, running backs, the tight ends, like everyone that's in the box being on the same page, and us continuing to improve our communication there. But yeah, I think the biggest area of growth we're looking at is those early plays and drives.
Coach Plow has mentioned how much Hank, can audible and stuff at the line. Can you take me through, like, when he gets under center and he's looking over the defense and he calls something out, how do you guys process what Hank is saying and then communicate it to everyone next to you?
Yeah, there's kind of 2 routes we can go with that. We can either kind of come up to the line, sit there, look at the defense, and Hank will come up with something, or it's kind of 2 set plays, and he'll be looking, we'll be looking, we'll have an idea. All right, he's probably going to change it on this one, or he'll probably leave it on this one. And from there, it's just understanding, like, all right, if it's this first play, I understand what I'm doing, or maybe it's the second play and I'm going to have to do something different. But kind of having both of those plays in your mind until he gives you the cue on either if we're running the first one or running the second one.
Is that just a kill?
Yeah, essentially is all it is.
Okay. Kind of a silly question, but how much is that the lifeblood of a successful play of what you guys are doing before you even snap the ball?
I think overall the way I look at it is any play that is called can be a successful play if we communicate an ID and execute at a high level. I think it's more of just like, yeah, sure, we could run that play, but this play might be a little better, so that's why he's going to go with that. So it's not like one's definitely not going to work and this one has to work. It's just kind of getting a better look for us.
What does Tennessee Martin do well defensively? You've obviously watched every snap they've taken this year. When they give an offensive line problems, what are the causes of that?
Up front, like they're majority an odd front. Their nose guard is like 6'5", 290, and their edges are 280, 290 as well. So they're big physical guys, and then they have a variation of, I don't know, kind of almost a 6'2" front where they're kind of just covering guys down. So I think their size and their physicality, but I'm confident in our guys and what we can do versus that front.
I believe it was a play that George ran off of you and John when he laid a hat on New Mexico safety last week. What does that do for, I don't know if you saw that, you take me through that, and what does that do for you guys as a group?
Personally, that gets us fired up, I think, because it's nice to know, like, we're working, we're grinding, we're doing what we can for George, and then to see him put it on somebody and finish a run like that, and then seeing that out of a physical back and knowing that George can do that is definitely a good feeling. And yeah, I mean, the backs their job is to make the first guy miss, or if they're not going to make a miss, then punish them. So things like that definitely get me fired up.
How often George isn't the biggest guy, but what do you think of his ability to do that?
Yeah, he's maybe, physical stature might not be the biggest guy, but I mean, if you ever looked at his physique, he's ridiculous to look at, honestly. He's an absolute stud. And I mean, he's just a fast, powerful, explosive guy. So, I mean, he can do that, and hang with anybody when it comes to that type of stuff.
What does peak George Holani behind you guys look like? And have we seen that yet, in your opinion?
Maybe glimpses, but I don't think we're where we want to be yet. Part of our scheme is the tailbacks being able to see things kind of similar to how the O-line are seeing things, and understanding based on the front or what type of movement we're getting, if it's going to hit out the front door or be more of a cutback. I think that's something where like the two units can kind of mesh a little bit better, and we can grow together in that area. And I think once we're all really rolling on the same page on that type of deal, I think we're going to see some definite explosive runs out of George.
Does it usually take a couple weeks for that mesh to occur?
That's hard to say. Like it's through spring, through camp, you know, we're going against our defense, and we're kind of getting used to how our defense plays. Our defense gets used to how our offense plays. Like that's kind of the fun part of camp, but also the frustrating part of camp and things like that, because you know what you're going to get every day. But that also kind of allows you to get into kind of a deeper level of that scheme. So I don't really have a great answer on how long that will or won't take. I think it could happen at any time, honestly.
Yeah, we've never talked to Ashton Jeanty. What's your best story about him?
I don't know if I have any one particular story. I mean, maybe just back in the spring game, like he was busting off runs, and like that was when he was a mid-year guy. I think since Ashton showed up, he's been a hard worker. He's definitely shown to have what it takes to be an elite running back at this level, and I mean he's a freshman and he's playing how he is, and I mean yeah, he absolutely has a lot of room to grow, but I think he's playing at a pretty decent level right now also.
Let's face it, when there's a true freshman back there, I mean, depending on who the true freshman is, there could be times where you're like, you're almost worried about what he's going to do, right?
Yeah.
What does Ashton do to give you guys the confidence that you don't need to worry about?
It's just the fact that, I mean, we're always getting reps with him in practice. And, I mean, let's say we look at something that was a mess up in the fumble at Oregon State. Out of a young guy, that could be something that, you know, maybe they fold, maybe they get a little timid. But then he's making that catch when he was out wide, covered with the linebacker, and then, you know, makes up for it. Or he's still putting in the work and covering down the field and helping Talon score. Like, his head's staying in the game and he's continuing to grind. So just knowing that he's got that in him, that he's not going to fold, he's going to continue to keep pushing and not wither over, you know, okay, this has been tough, this hasn't been what it needed to be. You're just going to keep trying to chip away at it. I think that's all you can ask for.
I feel like it's cliche sometimes when coaches are like, yeah, we don't know what back's on the field, whether it's George or Ashton. But in this case, like it feels like you guys can do whatever you need to, regardless of who's on the field with those two.
Absolutely, and I think it's ultimately good for them as well, because it's not going to be too huge of a workload on one guy or another. I think there's not going to be a major drop-off with either of them. You know, whoever's in, we're going to be able to be productive.
What about getting back on the blue, first home game of the year? How exciting is that?
It's super exciting, and I mean, you know, traveling's fun. You get to see new places, all that good stuff. But it's home crowd. It's on the blue, home hotel. We don't got to worry about flying home and getting back at 3 in the morning. None of that stuff, and we get to play for the boys and protect our home field. So it's definitely exciting.
I know every year you guys make a big deal about protecting the blue, but obviously last year you lost 3 home games. I don't know if it's extra emphasis or reminders or what, but how important is it to make it where teams don't think they have a chance when they come in here?
Ultimately, I think protecting the blue is an extremely important thing. I couldn't rattle off what our exact home record is off the top of my head right now, but I know it's an elite level of wins compared to losses, and yeah, that definitely dipped last year, and that's something that I definitely wasn't proud of, and there's things within this program that I take personal, and protecting the blue is absolutely one of those. So I think the offensive line unit definitely feels that as well.
Has there been any extra reminders or anything from Andy or the coaches or anything just about how important that is to this program is taking care of on the blue?
Yeah, I mean, whether that's, you know, having that talked about at the huddle at the end of practice, or, you know, in between racks, and they're on us, reminding us, keeping that urgency up and really paying attention to those details, like it's something that's always going to be mentioned.
What do you try to bring to this offensive line?
I've been doing my best lately to just be the same guy day in and day out. I mean, that sounds kind of cliche, but you know, there's definitely times where it gets late season and, you know, it's cold in the morning, whatever, as the weather cools off, and it's easy to be a little grumpy, but I do my best to bring a smile and bring the energy. And if the boys are having a little bit of a lull or something didn't quite go right, then I'll either try to hold that guy accountable or just try to lead the charge and bring the energy and be the guy trying to help lead the group. I think that's probably one of the special things about being an offensive lineman is like, one O lineman is never going to be singled out for something great or something horrible. Like it's just going to be the O line. That's how it's going to be mentioned. So when someone's having an off rack or an off play or something at practice, he's got 4 other guys to lean on, and that goes vice versa. So if someone's down, someone can bring that guy up, and it's just working together as a unit.
This might be something you guys have always done. We can only watch so much practice, but I feel like the last couple times I've been out there in terms of like player accountability or whatever, it might be there was a rep or two that weren't perfect the day of practice, and Keen was like, "Do it again," and it was the same guy doing it again. Is that something that has happened over the last couple of weeks, or why do you guys do that? When did you start doing that?
I think that's been going on for quite a while, like since the end of last season, because we wrapped up last season. It wasn't what we wanted, and we knew we had to improve in kind of the small details. And you could, if you really sit there and watch, Coach Keen's behind us, a couple yards in the backfield every play, whether it's the huddle or in the pre-snap, like he's always tripping out something just to kind of keep our mind on it, or get honest a little bit when we need to improve something.
How much do you enjoy this group of guys, and how determined are you? You said you got off to a little bit of a slow start at New Mexico. How determined is that group to make the last 3 quarters look like the norm?
No, I mean, I love this group of guys. I think we've definitely meshed well. I think we've kind of built our relationship as a room, and that's definitely improved. And I know, I'm confident in our ability to start wearing teams down. I know there's not a single guy in the O-line room that's played thus far that is going to be a quitter or get tired or not want to be dominant in the end of the game. And we want to finish with the ball in our hands. We don't want to have that, 3 and out like the New Mexico game. We gave the ball back. That's not our standard. When we have that 4-minute drive at the end of the game, we're trying to run the ball, we're trying to wear you down. It's not about scheme, it's not about any of that. It's about us being more physical than you, and we're going to keep the ball in our hands and finish the game.
What's it feel like when that does happen? You're pounding the rock. You can probably see your opponent each and every play wear down just a little bit. You go back to the huddle, you look at your brothers, like, that's got to be some type of euphoric feeling, right?
Absolutely. It's an incredible feeling. And, I mean, just to know that the work that you put in with the guys that you're around is paying off, and you came out with the win, and you got to have a little bit extra on top with that. It's an absolutely incredible feeling, and that's something like, that's what I think, being an offensive lineman, that's what you should be proud of at the end of the day.